had to pay $5,000 back to my client because I lost their earnest money because I didn't pay attention to a date. So for the first probably 4 years, I edited everything on my own.
Wow.
So it was definitely a lot of time.
So it's a shame that like a lot of agents get a bad rap because of that.
Exactly. And if it's not, maybe you're not in the right business. If you're in this just to make money, maybe this isn't your seat.
Mm-hmm.
I got my license in 2005, having no idea what was about to come for us. For a couple of years, it was a really fantastic market. So I think it's super important for you to stay in your niche and be really, really good at what you do.
Today's guest is Ashley Lazarian. She didn't stumble into real estate, she chose it. She got licensed in 2005 and almost immediately got thrown into the Great Recession. Since then, she's helped hundreds of clients navigate through crashes, boom markets, and everything in between. Today, her business is built on long-term relationships, relocation clients, and a strong YouTube presence. This episode is about what it takes to last in the real estate market when things keep changing. Ashley, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
A lot of agents fall into real estate, choose it intentionally. And for me, coming from engineering into consulting and now in the real estate, I definitely fell into it.
Okay.
You did not.
Right.
Tell me a little bit about what drew you into real estate right out of education.
I was the kid that was always painting my house inside. My mom would come home and there was always a new room color. And so interior design was just something that was instilled in me. And so right out of high school, I went into the interior design field. And with that, I had the great opportunity to go work for a builder building their spec houses.
Okay.
And I absolutely loved that job. And so as I was doing that, he said, have you ever thought about getting your real estate license? And honestly, it was something that I had considered, but I was really focused on the design work. But in 2005, I decided, you know what, it would just be part of the package. And so I got my license in 2005, having no idea what was about to come for us. And so, for a couple of years, it was a really fantastic market. And that's just kind of what catapulted me being obsessed with real estate, from building to interior design to sales.
And how do you think like that interior design background helps show up today with clients?
It's something where I have a lot of clients when they're walking through a home, you're one of two people. You either are a visualist and you can kind of imagine what things are going to look like. You can see that the paint color is the issue and what it would look like if it was something new, or what the kitchen would look like if it was renovated. Or there's other people that they can't see the vision, And so I'm able to kind of help them paint that picture. And, if we moved this or we did this, especially if they're one where they're like, I'm willing to do the work. I love this area. I love this neighborhood. I'm willing to do the work, but I just can't see past this. As well as when you're walking through a home and you're the buyer, I feel like emotionally you're getting tied to the house. You're seeing your kids living here, especially if you're the mom and you're walking through. I'm the one that's walking through. I'm not emotionally invested in this. I'm more looking for the things that are issues. And so knowing the build background, I feel like has really helped me be able to look for those things and see if there's issues. Because yes, they're going to come up in inspection, but if we can see them before you have to pay for that inspection, if there's red flags, obviously I want to do that.
Yeah, I'm certainly one of those people that like aren't really interior design savvy.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm like totally the opposite, where it's
Right.
like, oh, as an engineer, I'm walking in, I'm like, oh yeah, this will come up on the inspection, and this is that kind of roof, and this
but
is
that's
that
also
type.
a great benefit.
Yeah, it's huge, but it's cool that you have both brains.
Right.
I leverage my wife Lexi so much on like the design aspects. So
you're
sometimes,
a team.
so we're a team together on that. But that's interesting. Tell me a little bit about the builder background that you had. How long did that take, and what kind of experience did you get out of that?
So I worked for two different builders, and the first one was more of a just production builder. They were a really large, across the US. And that was more just kind of pumping people through the doors. It wasn't a very personal experience, but I still loved what I did because I got to kind of help people walk through the design studio, choose their interiors. And so that was a really great experience. But it did kind of educate me on the production side of building.
Right.
And I can't say that it put a great taste in my mouth for it,
No.
but it's something that did give me the education of how things work on the back end of that, which, I carry with me to today when people are looking at new construction. And then I ended up working for a little bit smaller builder who was, I won't say they were custom, but they were kind of in the middle. They were semi-custom. And it was definitely more about the person, the whole experience. Because for most of us, buying a house is going to be the largest investment that you ever make. And so if you're spending $500,000 or more, you really want to enjoy the experience. You really
Right.
want to love the house that you end up with. And unfortunately, a lot of times in new construction, that doesn't happen. So being able to be a part of a smaller builder where we were allowed to take our time a little bit more, we were able to hold their hands a little bit more, was a really great experience. And working hand in hand with the builder, by no means do I know what they know now, but they did teach me things along the way that I feel like has helped me, in my career now.
Have you ever thought about like bringing back interior design as like a side business, or maybe working with some more builders, or are you pretty much set on like?
So I'm kind of obsessed with what I do. I love helping people buy their homes, and it's more than buying the home. It's more I love helping people find their community. That's really what it is for me. The home is just kind of the benefit, the last piece of the puzzle. I still do interior design work. So I've actually done a lot of interior design work for
Okay.
clients. So I will help them just because I'm the person that has all of the contractors on speed dial. I've got the
Right.
landscaper, got the plumber, the electrician, the stagers. And that's a big thing. So, when people are looking to close and they need assistance, or maybe we're trying to get your house ready to sell, I have all of the people that are ready for that. And so I still do interior design work. As far as build, I don't think I would work directly for another builder.
Yeah.
My husband and I have talked often about maybe doing some building of our own.
Cool.
Yeah.
Love that. Well, let's take it back to the Great Recession,
Oh, yes.
because a lot of agents, such as myself, like I started in 2018
Okay.
and started to invest maybe a couple years before that.
Okay.
So we've had, it's just been gravy all these years up until the last year.
Right.
What was that time like?
It was tough. Honestly, like I said, I got licensed in 2005. I had no idea that was coming around the corner. I actually got married in 2008, and
Okay.
shortly thereafter, the Great Recession hit. And so it was definitely a new time for me. And it was one of those times where for a minute, kind of like in 2020, everything paused
Yeah.
and you're kind of like, what am I doing? So for a minute, it was me thinking, okay, well, I have to get like a different job. I have to leave this field. And then it was like, no, you love this. You just have to pivot. And what does that look like? And so none of us had ever really dealt with short sales or
Yeah.
foreclosures, any of that type of environment. And so it was definitely learning something new and learning it real quick. But I think that ultimately, it took the market about 4 to 6 years to recover from the Great Recession. So those of us that were living through it,
Mhm.
we didn't know how long it was going to take. We didn't know what the other side looked like.
Right.
So it was a very scary time. But realistically, if you had not overextended yourself, if you had purchased within your means
Mhm.
and you were able to just kind of sit tight for 4 years,
Yeah.
you were fine at the end of that. Yes, it was rough. Yes, it was not a great thing that you didn't gain equity during that time. But if you were able to wait about 4 to 6 years,
Mhm.
you gained all of that equity back. And if you waited even longer, you made money on that house again. So I will say that I'm honestly appreciative of that time that I went through because I feel like I learned so much during that time.
Yeah.
And it's helped me to help clients even today just with the fact of don't overspend. Like, I'm so money conscious when it comes to buying a house. And ultimately, you as the buyer, you're going to make the choice at the end of the day.
Right.
But I'm definitely going to be in your ear. I've had some clients that are younger than me that they're like, I feel like you're my mom. I don't mean to be that person, but like, you don't want to be not taking vacations or eating, PBJs for the rest of your life because you're in this beautiful house that you really can't afford.
Yeah.
And then if something does happen, like the market has slowed down, you're in a really tough spot. So learning to not overspend and spend within your means was a really important lesson during that time.
Yeah. I feel like the lenders today will like over leverage you and give you a pre-approval. Oh, you're pre-approved for up to $1 million. But should you really
we're right back
buy?
to where we were in 2006, 2007.
Yeah.
And it's not a smart place to be.
It ends up being like 50% of like your income.
Yes.
And can you actually live and afford on the second
and that's
50%?
the thing, right?
Yeah.
You better love this house because you're not doing anything else.
What would you say to agents then that, let's say the market crashes tomorrow? What would you say to those agents to get through the next few years?
I would say to first have patience and give it time. It's a scary thing that you're going through, but it's not something that hasn't been done before. If you pay attention to not just real estate, all markets, but real estate specifically, it's very cyclical. Everything that has happened has already happened in the past. It may not be the exact same, but it has happened. And if you look at it, it's going to come back around and it's going to recover and it's going to continue to grow. So just have patience and be quick to learn, be quick to pivot and see what's going on, educate yourself. And I would say that those are the biggest takeaways, just really taking it all in and just working through it.
Yeah. In my short career, like back in 2017, you could probably pick out a property on the MLS and it would like cash flow. I was working with a lot of investors at that time. So that we were very investor heavy. But then as like, I think right around COVID when the rates just dropped and everything was starting to like get crazy. There was 20 buyers for every one house. Prices just shot up. And then shortly after that, the rates went back up. And a lot of our investors were like, we're sitting on the sidelines. We can't do this anymore. The numbers don't make sense. It doesn't make sense. So it was like a big pivot for us. And we like quickly pivoted to working with a lot of families. And at this point, like investors are starting to come back a little bit. So you can just kind of see how
everything shifts.
Things shift and you've got to,
there's always an ebb and flow. But I feel like a lot of people don't want to face the fact of like the market that we're in right now. A lot of people are upset about the market that we're in. And this is something that had to happen. You can't have your cake and eat it too. The market was falsely put into the market that we were in 2020, 2021 to kind of spark the market back up after COVID. My personal opinion is it should have come back down much sooner than it did.
Agreed.
We let it go for far too long. And then inflation on housing was just absolutely insane. It got to the point where no one can afford to purchase a house, especially those first-time home buyers or even people that are trying to level up. And so we have to have this quiet time to kind of let the market settle itself out. And it's, again, it's exactly like what happened in 2008. And if we aren't careful and kind of quiet it down like we have, we would end up in that same boat again, which nobody wants.
100%. Well, let's shift into the exciting part of this. Personally, selfishly, I want to dig into how successful you've been on YouTube and attracting clients and using YouTube as a lead generation for your business. Why YouTube? Why not Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn?
It's kind of twofold. Real estate is only one hat that I wear, honestly. My most important hat is I'm a mom of 2 kids. So I have kids in schools. I'm at the parks. I'm also a coffee snob. I love to go out and eat. I live in these areas. So Also, I've been in Atlanta for 43 years. I know it like the back of my hand. And so I started noticing that there was a need to educate people on not just the housing, but the areas. Because,
Right.
if you're moving to a new location, whether you're moving to Georgia from completely out of state or you're moving within Georgia, from another city, you want to kind of find the area that works for you first. The house is kind of like the period at the end of the sentence. You want to find the schools that work for your kids. You want to find the area that works for you as a family if you're looking for something more quiet or you want more hustle and bustle. Finding those things is more important. We can always find the house once we find those things. And so I really wanted to start educating people on the different areas because you can have two cities that are side by side, but there are very distinct differences. And I
Mhm.
wanted to help people kind of figure those things out first, and then we can look at housing. And that's really how I got started with YouTube.
It sounds like you're almost speaking to a specific audience where maybe they want to relocate to North Atlanta, or they're considering, some of the areas you're talking about and you're an expert in. How important do you think it is to like have an audience that you're niching down on?
I think it's super important because if you're so broad, like I have knowledge about the city of Atlanta.
Hmm.
I don't work in the city as much. I don't know the city as much. So I could possibly steer you into something that maybe isn't exactly what you were wanting because I'm not as educated in that specific area. I know Peachtree City south of the city. I don't work there all the time. So I think it's super important for you to stay in your niche and
Hmm.
be really, really good at what you do. Um, that is what's so great about having real estate partners, right? I can always send something to you, send someone to you that's wanting to be in the city because I know you're going to take care of them. You know the way.
Hmm.
I know that you're going to take care of them so much better than I can if they're looking in the city compared to looking in the suburbs. And I feel like when you niche down and you're really talking to your specific client, you're just able to help them so much more and really focus on their needs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The riches are in the niches. That's what they say.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's also like what kind of clients do you want to work with?
Right.
If you're
Absolutely.
talking to who you want to work with, then that's who you're going to end up working
Yeah.
with. So you really get to choose your clients in
You
that
do.
way.
And it's funny, it works out because it's kind of crazy, but some of my closest friends that I have today
Hmm.
are past clients. And they started off watching me on YouTube, calling, coming down here with their families, driving around. We went to coffee, like we got to know each other. And, years later, we're still like really good friends because, like you said, you get to
Mm,
work with people that are like you and they obviously liked you from watching you and you just kind of hit it off.
yeah, 100%. I
Yeah.
feel like most of our friends are clients
Yeah.
today as well. It's like we've cycled through
You
and
have. You
it's
have.
just all clients.
Yeah.
So what's your cadence like? Do you film like everything in one day a week, or like how many videos do you put out?
Yeah.
What's your volume like?
So the goal is to have one video go out a week.
Hmm.
If you pay attention to your analytics, you're going to see when most people are watching you. And so we try to post on that specific day. We usually post it around 6 o'clock at night, give or take. But it's kind of one of those things where you want to pay attention to, it's kind of like a sitcom, right? You go to watch that sitcom every week at a specific time because you know that it comes on. Now, obviously, this is back in my day when we had cable,
Oh,
but now
that's
you
smart.
have,
I never
you
thought
know,
about it that way.
you have
Yeah.
Netflix and you have YouTube where everything is so on demand.
Right.
But if you have a show that is coming on every Sunday at 6 o'clock, you know that that person is going to be posting. And so I'm not going to say that I'm perfectly consistent. There are times where I've had a kid that was sick or I was sick. There's things that were going on. I'm not going to absolutely panic if I don't get a video out. But
Right.
the goal is that we're getting one video out a week. I have every Tuesday is the day that we kind of just go and film, whether it's filming B-roll, whether it's filming my portion. And so then I send that off to an editor now.
Okay.
So for the first probably 4 years, I edited everything on my own.
Wow.
So it was definitely a lot of time. And I had to really get over myself, to be honest, because
Yeah.
I'm such a perfectionist and I know the way I want the video to look in my mind because I don't want it to be a focus on me. This is supposed to
Mhm.
be a focus on the area. I'm just telling you about the area. And so the first couple of times I sent it to an editor, they focused so much on me. And it took me a little while to find someone that could edit to the way that it was like, okay, they don't need to see my face. When
Right.
they want to talk to me, they'll call me. I need them to see the area. I need them to see the schools. I need them to see the people that are walking around. Is this who you want to do life with? And so once I was able to finally find that editor, I've been with him for about a year and a half,
Mhm.
and he's fantastic. Finding your people in this business is everything.
Yeah. 100%. Is it then, what would you say the agents, like, I think it's really intimidating for them a lot of the time where it is a big time commitment.
It is.
Maybe they don't have the skills. Like, how would someone get started if you're an agent wanting to start a YouTube channel?
It's hard now because YouTube is so saturated
Mhm.
and you're one face in millions. And so you have to understand that it's not going to come overnight. YouTube is not one of those things where you're just going to go Instagram famous, right? Like
Yeah.
a video is not going to go viral. So you're not going to usually have that, you have to have the time that you're willing to put in, and you have to either be willing to put in the time to edit or you have to be willing to put in the money for someone to edit it for you. And
Mhm.
you really have to decide where that lies for you. If you have that more artistic brain, which I think goes back to like the interior design, like my brain just kind of functions that way,
Right.
where the editing came naturally for me. It was really easy. But eventually I had to kind of pass it off because that's not my job. My job is not a video editor. My
Mhm.
job is not the marketing side of things, right? My job is to negotiate contracts and get you into a home. And there are people that are amazing at what they do, which can take over the editing for you. But you have to be able to get to that point. So for people that are looking to get into it now, have patience.
Mhm.
Remember that this is not about you. This is about the consumer. And so really focusing on, I always try when I'm writing a script, sometimes I get lost because I have lived here my whole life. I know all of this stuff. So I have to kind of think about what are some of the questions that people ask me when they're moving.
Mhm.
And if I was moving somewhere new, what would I want to know about those areas? If I'm taking two kids and my husband and my dog and picking up my life and moving it somewhere new, what do I want to know about that area that I could then share with people about the suburbs of Atlanta?
Mhm. If you were to do it all over again, would you would you do it any differently for the YouTube channel?
I think I would. I do. I think I would have gone all in earlier on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am a processor,
Yeah.
right? And so I always want to look at things from every angle.
Mhm.
And sometimes you just got to jump, you
Yeah.
know? And I feel like a lot of people are always processing and they're thinking and
Mm.
they're always thinking about well, what if this? And obviously you're thinking about the financial side and
Right.
I was not comfortable on camera starting out. I'm still not comfortable. We just talked about this. You never get used to seeing yourself.
Right.
And then I had one client one time, they sent me a picture of their big screen TV and they took a picture of themselves watching. And it never occurred to me that people watch me on their television.
Yeah.
To me, I always watch YouTube on my computer.
Right.
And I thought, Jesus Christ, I'm on someone's 75-inch, right? So it never gets easy to be on camera. What's helped me is honestly, a lot of people think I have like this huge film crew.
Mhm.
Most of the time, it's either me, myself with a tripod, or
Right.
it's my husband or my daughter on the other end of that camera. So talking to my 15-year-old or my husband is really easy.
Mhm.
And so forgetting that you're talking to a camera and just having a conversation with hopefully the person that's going to watch this video and find benefit in it is really what your goal is.
Mhm. Well, I've seen your videos and you certainly look great,
Oh,
even on
thank
a
you.
75-inch. So no worries there. But let's take the conversation into relationships and your current business. You mentioned that real estate is shockingly small.
Yes.
What do you mean by that?
You are going to run into the same agents over and over and over. It's
Mhm.
kind of crazy, but about 20% of the agents are the ones that do most of the business.
Yeah.
So there's about 80% of agents that do between 1 and 4 deals a year.
Yeah.
I cannot live off of 1 to 4 deals a year. So to me, that is not a full-time job.
Mhm.
So there's about 20% of agents within the greater Atlanta area that do most of the business. You are going to see those faces over and over
Mhm.
again. And so having relationships with those agents is incredibly important, because if you have a listing and I have a buyer, like you said, there might be multiple buyers.
Right.
If I can call you and say, hey, Benjamin, like, I really need to see this. Like, is there anything you can do? If we have a relationship,
Mhm.
you're more likely to be able to want to work with me. You're going to trust me that my buyer is truly who I say they are, that they are, qualified. They're really looking. I'm not wasting your time. Because unfortunately, you have a lot of agents that are going to waste your time. And
Mhm.
so having those kind of relationships is crucial. Same thing with builders and knowing the builders that you're working with, being able to tell your clients the great builders from the not so great builders, because we all know that they're there.
Mhm.
And having those relationships with my contractors, being able to call them and say, hey, my client's moving tomorrow and they've got all this junk. Can you please go over there tonight at 9 o'clock and clean it out? Having those relationships is so important.
Mhm. Yeah, that's great advice. I feel like I can relate to that in so many ways. Going back to your 80/20 principle, like
Yeah.
we literally just launched a brokerage motto just focused on that top 20% because I felt like in all the other brokerages that I was part of, it's like most of the agent you're surrounded by aren't really like producing,
Right.
aren't really like they're just kind of there part-time, not
Right.
seriously taking it as professionals
Right.
should. So it's a shame that like a lot of agents get a bad rap because of that.
Exactly. Yeah.
But you mentioned you actively help newer agents. Why does that matter to you?
Because I feel like there's a big learning curve. And when I started in this business 20 years ago, we didn't have social media like we do today.
Mhm.
And so it was more getting out there and grinding and finding your people. And it was more relationship
Yeah.
based, which is how I still am. I still love having the relationships with my clients. So we do a lot of client events just because it's something I like to do. And it's a way that I can keep my family a part of what I do. So teaching new agents the importance of learning the contract, knowing it inside and out, teaching them the legal side of things, that this is not just a part-time job for you to make a
Yeah.
couple extra dollars on the side. This is someone's livelihood.
Mhm.
Like they've saved for a long time to spend this money. I don't care if the house is a $300,000 house or it's a multi-million-dollar house. This is everything to them. And it should be everything to you if you're working with them and representing them. And if it's not, maybe you're not in the right business. If you're
Yeah.
in this just to make money, maybe this isn't your seat.
Mhm.
And so working with them and just teaching them and guiding them and just helping them along the way, because yes, we all took the same licensing course. Real estate is one of those things that you learn along the way
Mhm.
forever. I've been in this for, gosh, 21 years now. I'm still learning things.
Yeah.
You learn through experiences. Sometimes they're not great experiences. Sometimes I had one time I had to pay $5,000 back to my client because
Whoa.
I lost their earnest money because I didn't pay attention to a date.
Wow.
I'm not going to let that fall on them. That
Mhm.
was my problem.
Yeah.
And I had to learn the hard way. But I guarantee you, I never let it happen again.
Yeah.
So helping agents understand
Oh
that, like,
man.
this is a big deal, and learning that side of things and just helping them with the experiences that I've had.
Yeah. Sounds like you get a lot of fulfillment from that and
I do. I
at
love
this point
coaching.
like giving back,
Yeah.
because you almost probably see yourself like 20
I
years back
do.
when you
Yeah.
did start.
And if you can tell right off the bat if someone is hungry and they want to learn, and if
Mhm.
they want to learn, I want to teach them everything I have. If you don't want to learn and you just are here to get clients handed to you, and I just don't have the energy.
Yeah, my wife and I, like I mentioned, we partnered together and we made a big mistake right after COVID. Like everybody wanted to be
Yep.
an agent.
Because they see dollar signs.
Yeah. And we took on a team of, I think, 8 or 9 agents.
gosh.
Some of them were great,
Yeah.
but some of them were just in it for the money.
Yeah.
And sure enough, after a year, they like quit us.
Yeah.
After we poured our hearts into them, training them,
Yeah.
showing them like how to be successful.
And that's one of the lessons that you learn the hard way, but you're able to teach that going forward. Yeah.
Tell me about how you show up for clients and how you nurture your sphere of influence. You mentioned like a lot of your clients are friends. Tell me about that cycle.
So we do a lot of things for our clients just because I love being in the community. So I'm really big on like new restaurants, new coffee shops. So we may host, there was a Pliable that opened up by my house. And I had gone there a couple of times with my kids, and I'm absolutely obsessed with Pliable. It's so good. And it's one of the places that I don't feel as guilty taking the kids to. So I wanted to promote them. I wanted people to know about them. So we hosted an event there. And, there was probably 80 people that showed up, and we bought Pliable for everybody. But, I want that to stay open in my community. And so I feel like I need to get the word out about it. And it's a way for my kids to be there with me. Some of my clients have kids. And a lot of times when we have people that come to visit, my kids will come with me to go to the park or take them to dinner. So their kids can have a person to talk to. Because when you're 13 or 15 and your parents are packing you up and moving you across the state or across states, the realtor is not the person you want to talk to.
Yeah.
You have nothing in common with me. And you probably think, I'm doing this to you, right? And so if you're able to talk to another kid that's your age, that's in school with, where you might be going, that's a lot more of a place for you to feel comfortable than me telling you, oh, you're going to love it here.
Yeah.
Because you don't care. And so just being able to connect with the community and with my clients has always been super, super important for me.
Any advice for agents trying to replicate the same thing? I mean, it sounds like, they get to know you on YouTube, then you start to slowly, like, they already trust you, right?
Yeah.
You've already built that trust. But like, are there any specific tactical things during the transaction, maybe afterwards, that you are proud of?
Yeah. So, I mean, we have kind of a consistent thing that we do each year where we try to do a movie day, and then we do fall photos for clients. I'm big into dog rescue, so we always allow people to bring their dogs and have them photographed as well. We just do it out at a local park. And then a couple of events throughout the year just to kind of, get people together. I'm a big connector. There's a lot of people that come here and maybe they don't know anyone yet. And so if I'm able to introduce you to other clients of mine, but I know that you're going to be great friends with them, they have your vibe, and I'm able to, connect you guys, that's huge for me. I don't even need you to be talking to me. I want you to find other people and other friends within this community so that you're feeling comfortable here right off the bat. And just because you've closed on a house does not mean you're done with the client. We have them on a system where we're constantly keeping up with them and reaching out to them. Again, I want them to think of me when they need a roofer or they need a plumber or they need a landscaper, because we're here for all of those things. That's what we've built this roster for, is to be able to help you with things that come along the way. I want you to think of me fondly in the future, because if you have somebody that wants to buy or sell, yes, I want you to think of me for those things, but it's so much more than that.
Looking back at your career, anything that you would do differently?
Honestly, I feel like everything has been done for a reason. I'm big in my faith, and I feel like what God has for me is what's going to be.
Yeah.
And so I feel like I don't know that I would do anything differently other than just taking the leap a little bit sooner on certain things.
Yeah.
Don't be scared to act. Just do it.
Jumping on YouTube in 2009.
Yeah, exactly.
So what's the next 20 years look like for you then? What are you excited about?
Honestly, I think we're definitely going to get into the building side of things. So that's something that's really exciting for me. It's something that I've always wanted to do.
Like development?
A little bit of development.
Mhm.
Yeah. I have an architect that I'm friends with, and he and I have been working on some things. And so hopefully we'll see those come to fruition in the next couple of years.
Amazing.
Yeah.
We'll look out for it on YouTube.
Yeah, definitely. Y'all will be the first to know.
Well, we're called the Atlanta Agent Playbook.
Yep.
And this is the signature sort of last question that we ask every single guest. And what is one play that you want to contribute to our playbook? One play, one tactic, one habit, one piece of advice for agents in Atlanta.
I think my thing would actually be to not forget about yourself. You can get so lost in competing with other agents, seeing people on social media, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. Making sure that you stay true to yourself is going to make sure that you stay true to your brand and true to your clients. And that will take you the furthest and keep your mind clear for the long run.
Absolutely. Well, you heard it here on the Atlanta Agent Playbook. Thank you so much for sharing your story, giving your tips, and just being open to this conversation.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me on. It was really great.
Thank you.